What's up, everybody? Welcome into today's episode of Pushing the Pile, a jam-packed episode for you guys. We are nearing, I didn't even realize this, people are reporting to training camps. It feels like it's still like 4th of July season, but we have some Chargers rookies reporting, some not reporting. We'll get to that in a second. So we're going to talk position battles on the eve of training camp, the 10 position battles. We're looking forward to analyzing and seeing how they shake out the most. But first, in our first off the ball, Kyle, who's now back from a shoulder surgery. How you feeling after that, buddy?
I'm feeling good. And you know what? I'm moving past the shoulder. I'm good. The doctor said 4 weeks in the sling, and I took it off after 2 days. Took it off after 2 days.
You're a modern miracle.
Babe, I'm just built different, okay? And, prayer's important as well. But range of motion, I would say, is like at the top of the importance list.
Oh, yeah.
Getting that thing moving. You're talking about training camp. A number of players going to be reporting, some for the first time, here in the coming days and weeks. I just remember how stressed out I was about bringing the right stuff to camp. And I'm not talking about cleats, gloves, socks. I'm talking like, do I need a microwave? Is there a refrigerator in the building? Do I bring a fan? I'm going to need my own pillow. I need a blanket, of course, because sleep is like right up there with range of motion in terms of importance. What would be in your so you get one duffel bag, one auxiliary item. What are those items going to be? What are you bringing with you to your dorm room at training camp in Bourbonnais, Illinois?
I'm thinking back to when we used to do a basketball summer camp every year. That was kind of like this. It would be a week. It was in Eastern Illinois. So not Eastern Illinois was in, where was it? I can't remember the exact city, but probably about 2.5 hours south of Bourbonnais. We would go to that camp. What would I bring? Back then, I used to just eat shit. So probably I would bring like Pop-Tarts back then. When I was 22 years old, fresh out of college, that probably would have been like high in my list. Now it's like I'd be bringing like the Quest bars or like the healthy stuff. That's probably high in my list. Keep the body in good shape. It's all downhill after training camp, as you say. So
I remember Cutler texted me and said, don't bring, he knew I was a big gamer. He was like, don't bring your Xbox. And I was like, why? He's like, we got to focus, we got to focus at training camp. I showed up the first night. He's like, why don't you come check out my room? And I was like, all right. So I went down there and he's got a 70-inch plasma screen TV with a Super Nintendo playing Tecmo football. And he was like, sweet. You can't tell anybody that this is in here, but I'm about to wear you out in Tecmo. That's like, unbeknownst to me, the guy's a gamer, but he's the vintage gamer. Okay,
old school gamer.
Moving past training camp, we got a lot to discuss here, Mike.
Well, yeah. So the most interesting story to me that kind of, I don't want to say just broke, but kind of just came to a head with Trey Harris, Chargers second rounder, obviously said rookies reporting to the Chargers training camp. He didn't show up. He still doesn't have a contract. In fact, 30 of the 32 second round picks this year don't have a contract because back in May, Jaden Higgins, second rounder, pick number 34 overall for the Houston Texans. Texans went ahead and just said, we're going to fully guarantee your contract. The first time that's ever happened for a second rounder. It's become the wave for first rounders for a lot of them to get fully guaranteed contracts. Obviously, Shamar Stewart and the Bengals haggling over that right now, how much should be guaranteed of his rookie deal. But a lot of times, a lot of teams say, when we draft you in the first round, we like you this much, we're just going to do it. How much of your contract coming out was fully guaranteed? Because you're obviously, your brother was old CBA, you were new CBA.
I'd have to go look, but it was not fully guaranteed.
It wasn't fully guaranteed. Okay, that's.
I'll tell you that. And I will say this. The contract that we're talking about with the rookie receiver, second rounder from Houston that just got fully guaranteed in the second round, that is the way that NFL contracts should look. It shouldn't just be, this guy's a first round. Even more so, the guys that are not first rounders, they should have their contracts guaranteed. I would understand if you wouldn't want to guarantee a guy's contract that's going to be making $20 million or whatever the hell the number is as a first round pick, but a second round pick, third round pick, let's start guaranteeing these contracts. I think that it matches what the other leagues are doing, and it's something you have to do. And we're always looking over to the other leagues saying, why can't we do that? Why don't we have a stronger union? Why don't we have this? The CBA sucks. Good on the Texans for doing this. And good on Higgins for being a part of this. This is monumental. Now all these other rookies that are unsigned are looking to this guy and being like, hey, man, we need to have the same treatment. And if you don't think that next year this is going to be a bargaining chip in the contract situations, when I got drafted, I was slotted. You were slotted, and it wasn't totally guaranteed. This is the way the NFL should be. I think you will get a lot more out of your players if you show them this courtesy as the other AAA sports leagues do. We should do this.
Obviously, owners, I mean, we literally just had the collusion lawsuit come to a head over the Lamar Jackson contract earlier this offseason. And obviously, owners are going to fight tooth and nail to avoid guarantees at all costs because the leverage really only goes one way, right? As soon as the players get any, and that's why they're pissed about the Texans contract, because it's hard to put the genie back in the bottle, so to speak. Like, it's hard to get no guarantees after you've given guarantees. So I understand from the owner's perspective, they're going to fight this. But I do feel for rookies because their contracts pale in comparison. We're talking about a 4-year, $11 million contract. If you sign that as a veteran right now, you are, a 4-year, $11 million contract, you're a third stringer. You're a special teamer. Special teamers get more than that. Like it is a low end deal that we're guaranteeing here. And I get why they want to fight it, but I have some sympathy for the rookie deal because back before, like I said, your brother, old CBA, it used to be you just negotiated outright with the team. There was no slotting of your contract. There was no, this is what you get. You're going to like it based off of where you're drafted. It was, here's how good I think I am. Here's how much you should pay me. And obviously it got out of control with guys kind of getting top of the market deals. Like Matt Stafford got like a top of the market quarterback deal. It was like a top 5 paid quarterback from day one. So NFL teams obviously wanted to push back on that. Veterans wanted to push back on that because that meant less money going to them. And that's how we get this rookie sort of pay scale. But I do think if you are way below market wages, which the rookie pay scale makes you, and, because veterans have a lot of voting leverage in these CBA talks, they get to say, we want more money of the pie going to us. Rookies don't get guys not even in the NFL don't get to say in it. So they kind of get screwed. Well, I think guaranteeing them is a nice middle ground where it's like, yeah, you might be getting a lot less money, but you're going to get that money.
Yeah, I mean, I look back. So I was looking at my rookie contract, and I guess I stand corrected. My rookie contract in 2013, and I was the 20th overall pick in the first round. It was a 4-year deal, $8.3 million. Signing bonus was 4.4. Base salaries in the contract were 100% guaranteed against skill, injury, and cap. Obviously, the deal that I signed later on in my career was not the case. There was a big number and a small number. The big number is the one that shows on ESPN. The small number is what you're going to get if a truck hits you when you walk out onto the field today, which happens. But I think that the sticking point where they really get these rookies is the first round rookies is there's the fifth year club option. Mm-hmm. So you don't get to negotiate. I remember there was a linebacker named Christian Jones from Florida State, who was a freak show, a specimen type athlete. He got in some trouble in the pre-draft process, ended up becoming a steal for the Bears because he dropped in rounds, and he was really bummed out. And I remember him talking to me, and I was like, dude, you're going to get paid before the other guys get paid. Like you are one of these first, second round guys that ended up in the 4th round because of some boneheaded stuff you did. But there's the silver lining is you can get a X $1 million deal in 2 years.
Yeah. Now they've kind of adjusted that with the new CBA on the 5th year deal. Like if you are a true superstar, you get paid somewhat commensurate with it, but it is still a lot less than the Jamar Chase 5th year, the Michael Parsons 5th year. It is still
if you are the top of the class in your rookie campaign, you're going to be missing out on 100%. The margins on the top side.
All right, but it's interesting to track because obviously if Trey Harris doesn't report and if no one gets signed here, it's going to cause some mayhem. I'm curious to see who's the first to crack, who's the first bluff to be called here, if it's going to be the players or if it's the owners. But I do think after all that's gone on in the sphere of public sort of opinion, I think a lot of people will be backing the players on this. Just a lot of, I guess, national media at least will be backing the players on if these sort of, if these negotiations really come to a head. All right. that's it with the first off the ball segment. We have positional battles, the 10 most interesting heading into training camp right after this.
Critics agree Landman is a hit.
We roll the dice one last time.
Men die. Oil companies don't.
All right, first one here. I don't know if this is the most interesting one. We did not rank these in interesting order. It was just kind of random. But I could tell you one thing. This will be the most discussed one. You flip on ESPN, you flip on CBS Sports, this will be the one that draws the most headlines, even if it may not be the most consequential. But it's the Browns quarterback battle, where you have a 40-year-old Joe Flacco in year 18. You have a 27-year-old Kenny Pickett in year 4. You have a 24-year-old Dylan Gabriel in year 1. And you have a 23-year-old Shedeur Sanders in year 1. All vying in what's seemingly a open 4-way competition. I can't remember the last time I've said that at the NFL level. I don't know if I ever have, actually, for the Browns quarterback job. And by the way, the guy who's making $115 million over the next 2 seasons is not going to be there, in Deshaun Watson, who is kind of we talked about guarantees in the first segment. This is why you'll never get guarantees at vet contracts. But
really messed that one up, huh? We really missed the boat on that one there, bud. Look, it's nice to be talking about the Cleveland Browns quarterback room and not have to hear from lawyers and from legal correspondents at a lot of the networks. This is just good. It's full. You know what I'm saying?
I know what
we have only covered the Cleveland Browns over the course of the last handful of years in a negative light. In fact, there have been times where I'm like, I don't even want to touch the Cleveland Browns stuff because it's just too much. It's just too much for me. I'm glad that there's football happening. I'm even more excited that it's a 4-man race there, and there's a 40-year-old involved, Cinderella man, Joe Flacco. And the Paramount ad at the break was Landman, which is Billy Bob Thornton. He's an oil man in Texas, and he said, men don't last forever, but the oil business does, or something along those lines. Well, Joe Flacco is the oil business. He's 40 years old. He's going to win this competition. These young men are going to get spit out the ass end of an oil rig by the end of training camp, and Joe Flacco will emerge victorious, in my opinion. But whoever deals with the bumps in the road as a young quarterback the best throughout training camp, when we see him in preseason, who deals with pressure the best, who deals with getting through their progressions quickly and getting the football out. That is the theme in the National Football League right now. Get the football out. Which one of those 3 young quarterbacks will vie for the number 2 spot behind Joe Flacco? Because I know he probably gives them the best shot to win early on in the season.
Yeah, I mean, Flacco feels like the safe bet. Obviously, he won Comeback Player of the Year, kind of absurdly so, a couple of years ago with the Browns on the backs of 5 starts where he went 4-1. And he did light it up. I mean, he obviously, the offense looked night and day from when Deshaun Watson was running it that season. So he has familiarity with the scheme. For all intents and purposes, he feels like the safest option. The thing is, though, he hasn't started more than 9 games since 2017.
So I said start of the season here, Mike.
Been almost a decade, right, since he has been a true starter. I just don't foresee with Cleveland Browns where they're at.
Almost a decade since he's been a true starter.
Right? Insane. So I do not foresee this Cleveland Browns team really hitching their wagon to him the whole season. One, because I just think if he's your starter, you're not built to compete in the AFC North. You have better teams in that division, and it will show. But also because you're just not portraying or signaling any hope to the fan base. Right?
Well, they're going to be running the ball too. I don't know if you saw the news yesterday. They're going to be running the ball.
The Browns can't stay away from obviously being in the headlines for stuff. Quinshon Judkins, we don't have to go into it too deeply.
No, I'm just saying, they're a pass-heavy offense now.
But yeah, Quinshon Judkins arrested for domestic violence. Obviously, they kind of foolproof that by going Dylan Sampson in the 4th round as well. So expect him to get a lot of touches early on. But obviously, when you're top 40 pick at running back, a premium pick, running back 3 in this draft class, may not be out there early on this season for the Cleveland Browns. That's back-to-back seasons now where Cleveland Browns have drafted a 2nd rounder who committed domestic violence before the season even started. So their character evaluations, I think it's safe to say non-existent.
Who's the first guy off the bench for the Cleveland Browns quarterback room? Who is the first guy off the bench when Joe Flacco
for keeping us on track.
breaks a shoelace in week 6? Who's the guy that comes off the bench?
I've been saying, and that again, if you want to signal hope to a fan base that has been pretty hopeless, You had that run at the end of 2023, but outside of that, the Deshaun Watson era has been mired with hopelessness. I think Dylan Gabriel is the rookie that gives you the most hope. He's the most experienced. He's 63 starts in his collegiate career. Is the most ever for a college quarterback. He's 24 years old. I think he can come in and handle the offense right away. And I think, again, if you're signaling hope to the fan base, you want Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders to win the job. You just do. You don't want Kenny Pickett, who's in the last year of his rookie deal, who's been at 3 stops in 4 years. That's not.
He wears gloves. I mean,
and again, who wears gloves in the most outdoor division in the NFL, right? The most conditions-based division in the NFL. I just don't think either Flacco nor Pickett gives you any hope as a fan base. You're just like, okay, we're kind of kicking the can. Whereas Gabriel, Sanders, you're not saying they will win the job. They were a 3rd and 5th rounder for reasons. It's more to say that is where you're going to goose them up and give them every opportunity to lose those jobs just because of where you're at. But they are kind of in a similar situation to the Giants where, Joe Shane, Brian Daboll, Andrew Berry, and Kevin Stefanski, if it goes south this year, if you have another disastrous season where you're drafting in the top 5, they're probably gone. That's probably it. Andrew Berry, he already kind of survived the Deshaun Watson.
And somebody gets a great coach in Kevin Stefanski.
Trade of all time.
In my opinion.
But there's only so much leeway you can give after a trade like that. So we'll see.
One more question for you before we get out of the Browns, and we've been here for far too long. We've been on the Browns for far too long. So Kenny Pickett wears gloves, and that's an immediate red flag, in my opinion. What's something else in sport or in life that is an immediate red flag? I'm thinking about, another glove situation. If you're putting with gloves on, I am immediately like, you're a clown. Or if you're at the beach with socks on, you're a clown.
Oh, that's a good one. What are some other sports? Man.
Somebody said ankle socks in tennis. Like they don't want to see your ankles in tennis. Everybody
is that?
wears
Yeah.
Okay. I wore ankle socks.
No shows.
I got
no
roasted.
shows in tennis?
Yeah, I wore no shows and got spit roasted by my tennis coach.
I think wearing I was gonna say black socks in basketball is
No.
It doesn't look good. Wear white socks.
Back pads for linebackers. Come on, man. What are we doing here?
Oh, the low down thing. What's I was trying to think of the baseball version.
I hate those sliding mitts. All these, the youth baseball fashion movement has really taken a course for, a downturn. When I was in high school, we had a coach that idolized the Yankees. So we wore our socks up, we wore stirrups, so we had no facial hair. Everybody looked the same. The hats were the same, everything. And then now I just see, this is such an old man yells at cloud moment, but these kids now, they're wearing 4 necklaces. They've got sweat. They've got neon everything.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Baseball style is weird. It's its own culture. But what I was going to say growing up, anytime I saw a kid who had the mask, I was like, that kid's batting 7, 8.
Kid can't hit.
Because you're projecting fear already.
Yeah, and then they get the one with the clear face mask, so it's I'm going to hide the fact that I'm afraid.
It's I'm not that afraid. I'm not that afraid. See it. That was anytime I saw that was the baseball version of the 2 gloves. I'm like, you're.
So that's Kenny Pickett out there with a batting helmet with a mask on. Okay, getting into the Colts quarterback battle. What we got here, Mike?
Yeah, we got more. We got 3 quarterback battles I wanted to go through because to me, and not the Giants. I'm just going to say it off the bat. I don't think the Giants is really a quarterback battle. I think it's just Russell Wilson's job. He got paid like it's Russell Wilson's job. Jameis Winston got paid a lot less than he did. And Jackson Dart was, in my opinion, the insurance plan for Brian Daboll and Joe Shane. Jackson Dart was your let's make the owner happy. And if things start to go south, we flip the keys over to Jackson Dart. If it's really a bad year, we give the keys to Jackson Dart. And if he looks good, it's hey,
a win.
You got to let us develop our guy that we just picked who looks good. Yep. Was that pick, in my opinion, was let's appease the owner by getting a young quarterback and give ourselves this out if Russ Jameis really doesn't work. So
that's what
I don't think it's
Stefanski. That's what people wanted Stefanski to do with Shedeur, and then they were just baffled when it didn't happen.
Yeah, so we'll see. But the Colts one is a lot more interesting because it is a true battle, in my opinion. Yep. And another team where they are going to give Anthony Richardson every opportunity to lose. This was Chris Ballard's guy. He was handpicked as a top 5 pick. Obviously, the first one he drafted since Andrew Luck, or the first one he tagged as his guy since Andrew Luck retired after just cycling through every single veteran quarterback known to mankind. But now they're back in the veteran quarterback market because they signed Daniel Jones for a not inconsequential contract, $14 million he got from the Indianapolis Colts. So a real like, hey, Anthony, this guy could be our starter very easily. That's more than Russell Wilson got, who, like I said, is likely to be the starter for the Giants.
Yeah, he's the guy.
But I think a lot of people are saying, and rightfully so, that Daniel Jones was better than Anthony Richardson. Like he has shown better than Anthony Richardson. But let's not act like Daniel Jones is good, right? Let's not act like his best season was anything special. And now the Colts probably have more talent than he ever did in New York. But his best season, the season that got him paid, he threw for 3,206 passing yards. Now, he ran for a bunch of yards. That was a big aspect of his game that year. He can scramble. He's a value add in the running game. Obviously, I don't think to the degree that Anthony Richardson is, but that's a weapon. But he averaged 6.8 yards per attempt. He had a 6.4 yard average depth of target. Like it was a gimmicky offense to succeed in that year, just a gimmicky way to succeed. And obviously we saw it not replicate any years since then. Very much a flash in the pan. So I think they're going to give Richardson all the opportunities because, again, he's younger than Shedeur Sanders. He is still only 23 years old. He's 3 days older than Cam Ward.
He's so explosive.
He has so much talent. And all he really needs to do, it's really just get a little bit more accurate. Just a little more. Because there's a lot to like about his game. I think he's going to win the job. Obviously, he has the shoulder injury that throws a big wrench into it. So that's a pretty big deal. Obviously, with the throwing shoulder. But we'll see. It's obviously going to be one to monitor. But
dude, again, I mean, he's such a weapon. And even with the way that they drafted with Tyler Warren, I think you bring a guy in like that to be the pacifier for Anthony Richardson, and you get that magnetism going between tight end and quarterback, and next thing you know, the quarterback's gaining confidence and the accuracy looks better, and then the accuracy turns into distribution to some of these other receivers you've got. And we talked about the ability of the receivers in the Indianapolis Colts room to make big time plays when they get the ball in their hand. These guys can move, yards after catch, explosion downfield, all of it. And Anthony Richardson has the ability to get the football down the field. It's a rare combination of being able to move and being able to have explosive distance on your throws. Like you said, you got to hit the layups. You can't be out there Angel Reeseing it all the time. And we got to see that he's healthy. The most important thing is we got to see that he's healthy, because if he ain't healthy, it doesn't matter how much technical work you did this offseason. If your body doesn't feel right, particularly in the throwing shoulder, you're going to be off. I was a pitcher. If I had soreness, it threw off all my technique. If my technique was off, the ball was everywhere. I can't even imagine playing quarterback hurt with a throwing shoulder.
If he Angel Reese's, he might make the cover of Madden next year, right? Wasn't she on the cover of NBA 2K26?
He'll be getting his own pat. He throws it. He catches it, throws it. Just keep. He's a. Right. She's a beast. She's a beast. I want her on my team. I want Angel Reese on my team, by the way.
What's your pick? Who wins?
My pick is going to be Anthony Richardson early on a very, 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 short window to breathe out of. And then they're going to throw Daniel Jones in there. Like you said, he got paid more than Russell Wilson, right? Got paid more than Russell Wilson.
I agree. I think it's Richardson. And the only thing I think that would stop that is if the shoulder injury just extends through training camp. All right, last quarterback battle to get to. New Orleans Saints, probably the least eventful. We don't have a first rounder in the mix, but we have quarterbacks drafted in each of the last 3 drafts. Jake Haener was a 4th rounder in 2023. Spencer Rattler was a 5th rounder in 2024. Tyler Shuck, your 2nd rounder, pick 40 overall this past year. Ironically, Haener the oldest, Shuck the 2nd oldest, Spencer Rattler the youngest of the bunch. So who do we think wins and why?
I think Rattler's experience last year is tough to scoff at when you're looking at this. I don't have a ton of viewing on Tyler Shuck, but I've heard you talk about him a lot. I'm interested to see when these young guys get out there, because there's really no veterans in that room. It's just a bunch of young guys with a quarterback coach. The quarterback coach is the veteran in the room. You know what I'm saying? Like Kellen Moore is the guy that is playing the salty old vet in that room. So the relationship that he has with that quarterback room is probably unique, and I never really thought about it. But you usually have an old head in the room with a bunch of young guys, like akin to what the Browns have, but maybe not that stretched out. They just have a bunch of young guys, and I would say that Rattler's experience puts him above the other guys early on.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I just, from my pre-draft evaluation to how I feel about Tyler Shuck coming out, for as old as he is, right, 26-year-old rookie, there were things about his game that I didn't feel were like, he's not this savvy vet of a quarterback coming in. And obviously he's played a ton of football. He's probably, has the best pure arm talent, best pure athlete of that mix. But it's not like Spencer Rattler has like poor arm talent by any means. He has a pretty darn good arm. So it's not a huge deal. I just thought his anticipatory throws, his panickiness under pressure was not quite ready. And especially when we talk about Saints offensive line, that is not really built to pass protect right now. I mean, I'm not sure it's ever going to be built to pass protect. It's built to run block. They have a lot of guys.
They can pound it. They can pound it.
And so they will. I mean, they definitely are going to. I do love that there is some synergy here with former NFL quarterbacks in the Saints. Your head coach is a former NFL quarterback. Your OC, so Kellen Moore is your head coach. Your OC is Doug Nussmeier, former NFL quarterback, obviously father of Garrett Nussmeier, your LSU quarterback. So there is a great developmental milieu here for this Saints trio. But unfortunately, I just don't think any of the three are good. It's like, that's why I think it's the least exciting quarterback battle, because one guy, whoever wins this, could still stink, unfortunately. So they threw some more money at it. They threw some more draft capital at it. I think we're going to be looking, could very well, the problem I worry about is we're looking at this a year from now. They're drafting, somewhere in the top 5. And we're saying, hey, this year's quarterback class, the guys that are drafted, that could be drafted right there, they look a lot better than Tyler Shuck.
Yeah.
So then what do we do? We have 4 straight years of quarterback. There's 4 straight years of quarterbacks then that you're drafted. What do we do with these other guys? So we'll see. I think it's Rattler, though. We're in agreement there. All right, next one. Away from the quarterback position. I had to throw you this one. It's the Bears pass catchers.
Yeah.
And now
really it's the personnel battle. It's the personnel battle.
Yes.
Not the position battle.
That's what I was going to get to, is that some positions, there's not really a battle, shall we say, like offensive line, quarterback, linebacker, those positions you don't rotate out. So there's no, you get the starting position or you're SOL and stuck on the bench the rest of the year until someone gets hurt. But pass catchers, it's like, say Luther Burden doesn't unseat Olamide Zaccheaus, he's not just never going to play. He still sees time. He might just be like 4th option as opposed to 3rd option in the offense. But it's an interesting conversation because they have so many options now. So again, DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, I think their status is unchallenged. They're going to be the 1 and 2. But where they play, who fills the Amon-Ra St. Brown role, like everyone's excited to see that. Then you have Olamide Zaccheaus, who they added, obviously came over from Washington. You have Luther Burden, your 2nd-round pick. Where do they shake out in this? And then where do they shake out given we have Cole Kmet, and we just drafted Colston Loveland in top 10.
Which is great. This is great.
Getting paid at the tight end position, who's been productive. And it's almost like a complementary type to Colston Loveland, who's much more of a move type, whereas Cole Kmet can play in line. He's a huge mammoth of a tight end. So just how does it all shake out? That's what I'm looking forward to. Like I said, not really calling it a battle, but what do you anticipate? We're 4 weeks into the season. What does this offense look like for you?
Right now, we're in Chef Ben Johnson's kitchen at the Michelin star restaurant. And, when you walk into a restaurant, there's that door. You walk up, you're like, is this the place? Is this not the place? You open the door, you walk in, you get greeted by, a handsome man and a beautiful woman. And they ask you and your wife, is this the party of 2? Okay, follow us. And then you walk back there and you can see that glass window where the chefs are behind it. And it's like, oh, babe, check it out. And you see all the ingredients. You don't see them cooking yet, but all the ingredients are laid out in front of you. And it's Colston Loveland, it's Cole Kmet, it's Luther Burden, it's DJ Moore, it's Rome Odunze. And, you're racking your brain about what kind of dishes we could get from Chef Johnson tonight. The biggest battle, so to speak, and I'll give credit to Clay Harbor for painting it this way, is the personnel battle between 11 personnel and 12 personnel for the Chicago Bears. Which one of these rookies proves to be venomous in training camp? Can't miss. Got to have him on the field in order to succeed. Is it more Colston Loveland, or is Luther Burden the guy that steps up and is like, I need the football too, because if I become a dangerous part of our offense, everybody eats. So is it going to be 11 or is it going to be 12 personnel? If they do go 12 personnel, I do think they have the personnel to run the football. Obviously, you've got the inline tight end with Cole Kmet. You can do so much with Colston Loveland. But I do think that we see early downs. You're going to see Caleb Williams under center. You're going to see 12 personnel, and you're going to see opportunities for heavy play action balls down the field to some of these pass catchers, because they've got guys who just weren't utilized last year as much as they should.
Yeah, I'm right there with you that they have the ingredients to make a lot of different dishes. And I think that's this conversation might be moot, because that might be the point, is that they might week one make, an 11 personnel dish. They might be trying Luther Burden out there, throwing them screens.
We are featuring him today.
Yes.
Or this
because say the team they're going up against, only has stout run defense, and they only have one good corner. And so you think you can get Luther Burden on their nickel and it's like game over, So that's week one. Week two, bad run defense. They think they match up well with their front seven. All of a sudden, Cole Kmet and Colston Loveland are both out there. Like, that's, I think, the whole point, is that week to week, Ben Johnson can create and craft whichever game plan he feels is necessary. And that's why I'm like, whew, I don't want to, like, the Bears are the most intriguing team to me because of that, because of what they could be, what the ceiling of this team is. If Caleb Williams reaches where a lot of people thought he could go pre-draft, myself included, like, a Super Bowl's in play, truly. Like, he makes a second-year leap to a Super Bowl is in play. Given I got to stop saying this stuff because I think you're raising your desk up right now, but it makes them super dangerous. And I do worry, though, Luther Burden's soft tissue injury. He's been out for over 6 weeks this offseason.
We got time, baby. That clean air up in Lake Forest in the summertime will do you good, Luther. Just go in there to Hallis Hall. My buddy Jeremy, the trainer, he'll take care of you. He's really good with the soft tissue stuff. Trust me, I dealt with a lot of it.
So we'll
hey, I want to tell him myself.
Okay, let's hear
about something. So we just finished up we're wrapping up our off-season coverage of the National Football League. We did the combine, we did the draft process, and I kept finding myself writing down comparisons for all these players. You know what I'm saying? Like Josh Simmons, Trent Williams, blah, 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 blah. And then I'm like, Wyatt Milam, Kyle Long. Gray Zabel, Kyle Long. Well, it seems that this kind of Kyle Long is every white O-lineman that I see filter has really permeated its way to the Midwest, because just yesterday or 2 days ago, I received a flood of tweets from Chicago Bears fan base that were like, hell yeah, nice, awesome. And I was like, what is this about? What is everybody talking about? So I click on the tweet above it, and Adam Johns, CHGO's insider for the Chicago Bears and, longtime coverer of the Bears, and a guy that I know well, he said, on the field, Ozzie Trapillo looks like Kyle Long. It's not just his jersey number, but physically he's built like Kyle Long. He moves like Kyle Long. I'm starting to think that all white offensive linemen are just me. It's just like, remember in The Matrix where they were all the guy with the sunglasses?
Yeah.
Or in Taken, when they're like, I'm looking for Marco from Tripolia. And the guy's like, we are all Marco from Tripolia. Dude, we are a hive mind. All the big bald, well, Ozzie's not bald, but let's just say all the big, handsome O-linemen.
It's basically, I think it's if you're white and you don't have like a gut. I think that was the calling card. Was
if you're relatively lean.
A lean white offensive lineman Kyle.
That's your comp.
Kyle Long comp.
Okay.
It's like, I mean, it's like every wide receiver built like a running back, Deebo Samuel. It's there's a type, and everyone just hammers it. People are simple. We're simple men in the draft game. You see a few things that look like someone, and you're like, him immediately. Yeah, I'll just say, watching Ozzie Chapilla's tape got him confused for Kyle Long. I was different type of player. Different type of player.
I hope he's a great player.
I do too, but different type of player. All right, last one here before we take a quick break. Position battle number 5. Texans offensive line. This one,
a lot of names.
This is a fun one because not only is it like a battle, it's kind of a free-for-all. They went with the kitchen sink approach to replacing Laramie Tunsil. And so obviously I think they're penciled in starting 5 as it stands right now is Cam Robinson, who they signed for agency after he got traded to the Vikings last year, most of his career at the Jaguars. He's in at left tackle. Laken Tomlinson, who they signed from the Seahawks, who's kind of been a journeyman at this point from Giants, or not Giants, Jets, Lions. He's penciled in at left guard. Jared Patterson, former Domer, penciled in at center. Titus Howard, who spent most of his career at tackle, their former first rounder. I believe they're moving him to guard. And then Blake Fisher, your second rounder, another Domer from a year ago. He's penciled in at right tackle. That's O-line U, if you're paying attention. That's probably starting 5. But you have Ariante Ursary from Minnesota, who is your second round pick this past year, who to me, I mean, compared to Blake Fisher, when I saw Blake Fisher coming out, Fisher was a project. I could have told you that from, by the point he was drafted, he was terrible last year as a rookie. That's just like what he was. But he was a right tackle at Notre Dame. He's back to the right side this year. Ariante Ursary, less of a project, maybe just doesn't have the ceiling that Fisher has, less of an athlete as well. Juice Scruggs was a former second rounder as well. He could factor into the center mix. He could factor into the left guard mix out of Penn State. Jake Andrews, he has started a lot of games for the New England Patriots over the years. He could factor in the center position as well. Ed Ingram, 3-year starter for the Minnesota Vikings. They traded for this offseason. Obviously, he was never great. That's why the Minnesota Vikings got rid of him and kind of completely overhauled their interior offensive line. But he could factor in here to one of the positions. And then Trent Brown, who at one point was the highest paid offensive lineman in the NFL,
and the highest
has a tattoo of himself getting a threesome on his arm.
It's incredible. It's a really bad tattoo. Not only distasteful, but like drawn by a 7-year-old who was blindfolded, and they made him do it with their opposite hand.
They made the most voluptuous women though. I think he's only
Trent Brown wouldn't have it any other way.
Exactly.
I'll say this about the Houston O-line room.
Yeah.
They lost their Kim K. Okay, let's just look at this like it's reality TV here. So Laramie Tunsil, extremely good at what he did. He's no longer there. They, as a unit, were not really good at what they did, which was protect the quarterback, which is why C.J. Stroud had such a big dip last year. Mm-hmm. What I'm reminded of when I look at this list of this cast of characters, we'll call it, is it reminds me of reality television. Because you've got a lot of names that you recognize that don't really have a ton to offer. But then there are some names that have potential to be somebody. Like right now, if you go on TikTok, you'll see that this gentleman, Theo Vaughn, is one of the most highly covered, highly clipped people on the internet. At one time, he was one of those dumbasses on a reality show like 15 years ago.
What was it? Road Rules? That's what he was on?
It might have been Road Rules. Yeah. But he's a star now. You know what I'm saying? Ariante Ursary could be a star. Any number one of these guys that are youngsters for this group can step up with positional versatility and play. I have concerns about going with the sign everybody, any and all, Trent Brown, all these names. And Cam Robinson slotted to be your left tackle. The last time we saw Cam Robinson on the field, he didn't look very great to me. And there's a reason he didn't stick where he was the last 2 times. Laken Tomlinson has dealt with injury, but he's a guy that could play coming out of the draft, and he's had a lot of experience in the National Football League. Look, I mean, it's not terrible. It's probably better than last year, but a lot of it hangs on how Cam Robinson does, obviously, because C.J. Stroud doesn't see who Cam Robinson is getting beat by and how healthy this group can stay.
Yeah, it's an interesting unit for sure because you have, of these, you have 9 guys who are either multi-year starters or first or second round picks. That's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of people in the mix. So we'll see.
These aren't
all right,
D-listers, they're C-listers.
Yeah, that's also fair. All right, we're going to take a quick break. After that, we are going to get to the other 5 positional battles right after this.
Hi. Novocaine?
Novocaine! Novocaine is now streaming on Paramount Plus.
You're gonna love this.
Oh, you're strong! It's wildly entertaining and an absolute blast.
I'm in.
Novocaine, rated R, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
All right, the next one of the positional battle hit. And this one I thought I was super clever coming up with, but I think it's pretty dumb now that I did and include it. It's Travis Hunter.
Yep.
The positional battle being himself. Where do we see him shaking out his rookie season?
Man, oh man, oh man.
What's the role?
I'll ask you this first. Where's he more polished?
Corner.
Okay. Well, he's a lockdown corner that at times, if we get to 5 wide situations, has the ability to come out on the field. Or if even you want to involve him in some 3 receiver sets or 4 receiver sets, sure. Have some packages where Travis Hunter's in the field. But you've got another great receiver there in Jacksonville. It's not like you have the need to take away from your defensive bucket, putting Travis Hunter out there on the field. Oh, I got to shut off my baby monitor. So, look, I listened to Travis Kelce talk about Travis Hunter, and he brought up a great point. If you're going to have Travis Hunter on the field, going both ways, we're just going to have receivers running 9 routes all day and forcing this guy to run 40, 50 yards of play and force him to cover guys because then he's going to be shit on offense. I mean, not even a superhuman can play both sides of the ball in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. No, I tend to agree that it's going to be a lot less both sides than I think people want it to be. I think if he does play both ways, I think he will do some. I don't think he cracks. I think there's 0 chance he cracks 50% of snaps, both sides of the ball. That's going to be crazy. Now,
I think 80-20 is probably.
I think for Trevor Lawrence's sake, and if you're Liam Cohen, you're an offensive guy, and you're coming into this building, you drafted a number 2 overall. You're like, why the hell
Score points
would I give this guy to my defense? You know, not to be, but just like you've come up as a former quarterback, you're an offensive guy. You're like, why in the world would I put him at corner? And, you know, obviously him next to Tyson Campbell, it would greatly improve the cornerback room. But you draft Jaron Jones in the 3rd round last year. Hopefully he takes another step forward and can play on. Hopefully he can play on the outside. He's been playing the slot a lot. But like, you don't have another guy on offense that can be a weapon like Travis Hunter. So I think he's saying, I'm an offensive guy. I have the potential to put together a top 3 to 5 sort of offense in the NFL with what I'm given here.
Do it.
Exactly. I think it, and where he can play defensively, I think the thing that makes the most sense, and I've been saying it for a while, red zone. It's different calls. You know, it's a certain sheet, and what you just said, you don't get 9 rounds. You're not running a 40. You know, you're not
just go play in a phone booth against the other bets athletes and be more athletic than them.
Those are the reps that get you. If you're in the red zone, at cornerback, it's child's play to him. Like you're quick bursts, a few, 20 yards max. You're not tiring yourself out playing red zone snaps. And it's the highest leverage, right? It's the highest leverage plays to be on the field too. So yeah, I think that's where it makes the most sense. And I can see Travis Hunter making the impact. All right, next one. Chiefs left side. And I say left side because left tackle, left guard, both seemingly in play here. The names, Jalen Moore, who obviously just signed $15 million a year from the San Francisco 49ers. Josh Simmons, Ohio State first rounder, coming off torn patellar. Kingsley Suamataia, your second rounder from last year, who got benched. Wanya Morris, your third rounder from 2 years ago, who got benched. And then Mike Caliendo, your left guard starter for the Super Bowl, who was, let's face it, not playing at a starting level.
Yeah, I mean, The benefit of the doubt that I give the Kansas City Chiefs is that they have a great offensive line coach in Andy Heck. And we've seen flashes from guys like Wanye Morris, who at times may not look the part from a physique standpoint, but has the ability to get the job done, but is not consistent. Kingsley Suamataia, a mountain of a man, can move really well, but for some reason hasn't been able to put it together. Jalen Moore, we've seen it on tape where the guy can play. I feel like right now, if I were to put my money on a guy being the starter, it would be Jalen Moore, because of the fact that Josh Simmons isn't. We don't know yet. Look, if Josh Simmons is healthy, Josh Simmons is the starting left tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs for the next 10 years. He's that good when he's healthy. And yeah, if Jalen Moore is a guy that's ready to play, Andy Heck will put him inside, okay?
Yeah.
Because you go take a look at the guards that have played for Andy Heck. They're like tackles, big giants of men. And then I think about guys like Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, LDT, the doctor, my size, even thicker than me, but tall, like 6'5", 6'6". There's no issue in Andy Heck's offense putting these big guys in there because technique is paramount on the inside. And I think they do a great job of all being in lockstep. But the question mark is Josh Simmons' health and progression of guys like Kingsley Suamataia.
Yeah, I think it probably shakes out early as Jalen Moore, and then I'd say Kingsley Suamataia at left guard. But I could see Simmons being your left tackle by the end of the year, and I could see Jalen Moore kicking inside as well. All right.
That'll be fun. Oh.
Next battle here, and it's a deep one. It's the Patriots wide receiver position. I said it's wide receivers one where it's like guys will still see the football field. We don't know who's going to see the football field for this Patriots team because it's not just like the third and fourth wide receiver that's in play. It's kind of the entire wide receiving room that's in play now, especially with Stephon Diggs and his offseason antics and the Patriots' feelings towards, making waves, kind of the Patriot way, and how that doesn't necessarily play well with a guy like Mike Vrabel. So Stephon Diggs, Mac Hollins, Pop Douglas, Kyle Williams, your third rounder from this year, Kayshon Boutte, Javon Baker, fourth rounder from last year, Jalen Polk, your second rounder from last year, and then Kendrick Bourne. That's 8 names vying for obviously 3-ish positions that you're 1, 2, 3 in the offense. How do we think this one ends up working out?
Well, I'm going to start with a name that you probably wouldn't think I'll start with, and that's Mac Hollins, okay?
Ooh.
I love the way that Mac Hollins plays football, and I was disappointed to see that it didn't work out for him in Buffalo because I know the kind of guy and teammate he is, and I know the kind of impact a guy like that can have in a room, particularly with a guy like Stephon Diggs in it. I anticipate seeing Mac Hollins out there and getting some action. Stephon Diggs, I think, is at a point in his career where he can see the door closing and wants to end it the right way. I also think that he wants to have fun. You can't shut that part of yourself up. And great coaches understand that you got to be you. You got to let your players be them. But there's a time to work and there's a time to play. We've yet to see the time to really work for Stephon Diggs in this offense. Obviously, he's got to be a part of it. As for the rest of the offense, I mean, it could be one of these groups where it's within inches, centimeters of, the third string, fourth string, fifth string guys. I'd be interested to hear what you say. But if Stephon Diggs can go, man, oh man, I can't wait to watch Drake May and him have fun.
I think if you're a Patriots fan, your dream scenario for Josh McDaniels' offense is that your starters are Stephon Diggs, Kyle Williams, Jalen Polk. Both Polk, your second rounder from a year ago, more of a possession type, good at the catch point guy. Kyle Williams, your field stretcher, vertical guy. Stephon Diggs, your kind of separator underneath, intermediate, probably your go-to guy. That's like your 1, 2, 3. Mac Hollins is your 12 personnel guy who can come in and run block. He can kind of reduce and be a value add in the running game.
He's a Patriot.
Huge. Yeah, because he's huge, can be that guy. And then he's also fast. So, play action. He's running overs. He's running deep crossers, things of that nature. So he's kind of like your gadgety. I don't say gadgety. That's not gadgety. Your wide receiver 4 who has a specific role, specific niche he plays in the offense. Same with Pop Douglas, who is your let's throw him screens. Let's give him, quick underneath routes. He's just electric, but he's not really a guy you can feature because of his size. And then after that, you have Kayshon Boutte and Javon Baker is kind of just like insurance, icing on the cake. I think that's your dream scenario. How it ends up shaking out, though, I think is anybody's guess because, if I'm just breaking these down in terms of just talent at this point, obviously Stephon Diggs still deserves to be there, but Kyle Williams and Javon Baker were two guys to me that are like, they are uber talented. Would not surprise me if either of them rose to prominent positions of the offense or if either of them don't get featured because it really is, when you're a third and fourth rounder, it's
You get
crapshoot.
lost.
Yes. So I'm interested to see how it shakes out because Drake May deserves the help. He could use it after what he had to go through as a rookie. So obviously one we'll be watching closely. Two more, and it's both offensive line. Gave you your red meat here at the end. And we're going to start with the Eagles, specifically their right guard position. The one position they lost from a year ago, Kai Becton, obviously with the Los Angeles Chargers now. Back in 2023, this was an issue. Lost Isaac Seumalo, kind of struggled to replace with, they trotted out Cam Jurgens at right guard. He didn't work out, or it was his rookie year. He's not a guard. He's a center. Didn't go great for him. They trotted out Tyler Steen. Didn't go great for him. Didn't go great for him last year in the Super Bowl when he had to come in from Mekhi Becton. So is it Tyler Steen? Is it Matt Pryor, who they signed? Is it Kenyon Green, who they traded for? They added 6 offensive linemen to this room this offseason. That's how, kings stay kings. When you have an offensive line that good, you can't let it go to fallow. You can't let it backtrack at all. They added 6 guys. So who ends up being that right guard, in your opinion? Is it Steen? Is it Pryor? Is it Green? Who do you think?
Well, the name that is not on this list is Williams. This is Cameron Williams, the Texas OT. With Jeff Stoutland, you never know until you see the group in action because like Andy Heck, he can do real magic and he allows for guys to really blossom. And I'm glad you pointed out that Jurgens couldn't play guard. For the centers out there, it's not that you got 2 of the baddest MFers right next to you all the time. It ain't that hard, okay, to play center. You come out and play guard, you got to be the Banff. Now you are the Banff. It's hard. It's a hard game. And last year we saw Mekhi Becton step in at the right guard position and have a great year. And obviously he got himself paid and is out on the West Coast now. But between Lane Johnson and Cam Jurgens, you can't really go wrong with any of these guys. I watched Matt Pryor play in the Navy and Orange. He is a mountain of a man and somebody that's not going to miss many blocks in there with the helpers that I just named. Tyler Steen obviously has had a crack at it. We'll see what Stout thinks about him. Kenyon Green is a guy that wasn't a scheme fit. Right? Correct? He wasn't a scheme fit and just didn't pan out.
First rounder.
Now he gets an opportunity, a first rounder with development abilities of Jeff Stoutland. That could be the guy. I mean, I've got Williams and Green circled because I watched Matt Pryor play. He's a good guy that fills in at the right guard spot if you've got an injury. Tyler Steen hasn't gotten it done, but Kenyon Green has fooled enough people to get drafted in the first round. Stoutland, he's going to figure out what he's got.
And Green, he's still young. Still only 24. Still younger than, I believe he's younger than Anthony Belton, Packers second rounder. So like still younger than guys coming into the league right now. That's never, never mean that's not.
They ain't messing around. I'm not talking. Stoutland, I can say Tom Blue in the face, but Lane Johnson is serious as a heart attack. And yeah, he's fun and all that stuff. But you put your hand in the dirt next to him, you better come correct. And if you don't, he'll find somebody in that building, in that O-line room with him, who's willing to do what he needs to be done.
And one of the big reasons why it was such an issue in 2023 is because when you have a guy like Lane Johnson, you don't slide to Lane Johnson. No. You're sliding towards Jordan Mailata. You're sliding to the left side. You're sliding to Jalen Hurts' blind side, especially since, Jalen Hurts not one of the more fumble-prone quarterbacks in the NFL. So if you all things being equal, that slide's going left, which means you're right guard. You're on an island more often.
That's where you earn your money, buddy. That's why Mekhi Becton got his money.
Yes. So it's a big position, big shoes to fill, literally and figuratively, in that Eagles offensive line. Last one here. And in this one's not as much a battle as it kind of just is. I want to see how it shakes out.
Shuffle.
It's the Saints offensive line. We know who the 5 are. It's going to be you are 4 former first rounders in Kelvin Banks, who you just drafted in the first round, Trevor Penning, who you drafted in the first round a few years ago, Taliesin Fuaga, who you drafted in the first round last year, Cesar Ruiz, who was a former first rounder, and then Eric McCoy. He'll be at center. Cesar Ruiz will be at right guard. Those two are set in stone. That's where they've played majority of their careers, I think their entire careers. So those two we know. But it's Fuaga, Penning, and Kelvin Banks that we don't quite know just yet. How do we see this one going, and how do we see it working on the field?
I would say that if you are looking to invest in something and you're a New Orleans Saints offensive lineman, I would say invest in a neck roll. You've got a lot of youth at the quarterback position. You got a lot of guys that were just named that can run the football, and they have that kind of demeanor. They've got that physicality, and we saw it last year really hit its stride with the running game with this group. And now you add in Kelvin Banks Jr. It's hard not to think that you get better, but we all know it. They don't have the guns. They don't have the butter in New Orleans to be able to put it together and go on a run. Obviously, they're going to be picking in the top 3 or 4 picks in next season's draft. But they've invested in the offensive line, and whoever does step in to play quarterback when the time comes will have a seasoned group of guys who are expensive but talented.
Yeah, they are going to absolutely pound the rock. I foresee Kelvin Banks. So if we're just purely ranking this off of draft capital, Banks had the most, Taliesin Fuaga second most, Trevor Penning third most. And since since Penning, Fuaga haven't necessarily done anything on an NFL football field to say, hey, I deserve XYZ position, I think it ends up shaking out. Banks gets his left tackle position. That's where the only position he played at Texas.
The golden boy.
He gets left tackle. Fuaga, truthfully, they should. I don't know why they started him at left tackle to begin his career. He was a right tackle at Oregon State. I'm putting him back at right tackle.
Yep.
And then Trevor Penning at left guard.
Trevor Penning. He's got to, when we figure out what's going to happen with Trevor Penning, it'll be interesting to see, because you die a very slow death at the guard position in pass protection, or a very quick death at the guard position in pass protection. At tackle, it's drawn out a bit. You get some distance. If Trevor Penning has some really good length, he's very strong. If you can figure out how to aim and hit his aiming points in the pass protection game, he could be a really good guard because we know he's dominant in the run game.
Yeah.
Or that's his strength, I would say. I don't want to use the phrase dominant, but if he can come up a bit in the pass game, they're going to have a big boost offensively.
Yeah, so very interesting to see how it shakes out. But again, they're built to run the rock. I foresee Alvin Kamara having his first 1,000-yard season if he stays healthy because, well, they're going to literally have to. They're not going to want to pass the ball too much.
No.
All right, there you have it. That is our positional battle show for today. On Wednesday, we'll be back breaking down coaching staff tiers. Everyone does your head coaching rankings.
Ooh.
We give a shit about that. We are doing the entire staff. So your head coach, your OC, your DC.
I will be looking at pictures of your trainers and your strength staff. I will be roasting everybody, okay? If there's any outliers that you see, if there's anybody worth noting, if there's anybody that you guys see at home when you're listening to this episode, preparing for the next episode, you're like, this person deserves to be covered. Maybe we can pull up their picture, their bio, maybe.
What's who's the bodyguard in Philadelphia? What's his name?
Dom. Big Dom.
Dom's factoring into this. If you got a Dom on the sidelines, you're bumping up a few spots.
Any get-back coaches you got? Anybody that you like? Thanks,
so
Mike.
We'll be putting them into tiers on Wednesday. Thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time, keep pushing.
Peace.